Hey, it's Jen Vax with YourColorStyle.com. In this video, I'm going to explain what it means to identify a color as cool. The reason that this may be relevant to you is that if you have cool undertones, cool colors are going to be the most harmonious with you. So what does that mean? Well, in art color theory, when you are creating a color palette that you want to be harmonious for a piece of art, like a painting, you would have your colors all share a little bit of one color. This makes all the colors harmonious. Well, in color analysis, if you have cool undertones, you have a little bit of blue. It may not be necessarily obvious, but that is the case. With the idea of color harmony, that means that all colors that are created with blue will be harmonious with you, meaning very pleasing to the eye. So if a color is made with blue and you have cool undertones, it's a match made in heaven. So let me break this down a little bit for you in some color theory terms. These are the two color wheels in your color style. There's the bright and the soft, which is slightly softened. And as you can see, when you look at the color wheel on the left, you see all of what is identified as cool colors. But let's go a little deeper on this, because when we think about cool colors, we automatically think of blue, probably. We might think of magenta pink as cool at the top of our head. We're associating cool with winter blues, right? Those, when you think of somebody that's freezing or an emoticon, we use blue to identify cold. So it's not a huge reach to understand that blue is on the cool side of the color wheel. But there are quite a few colors that are harmonious with cool undertones that you may not necessarily consider to be cool. So let me break this down for you. Colors that are made with cyan are considered cool colors. Now, you might be wondering why I'm not using the word blue, even though I just described cool colors with blue. And this is because we're now talking about mixing colors. And I prefer to use the CMY color wheel, which is cyan, yellow, and magenta. These are primary colors in the painting world and in the printing world. And they are colors that you really can't create by mixing another color. Now, we could use red, yellow, blue as the example, but the reality is that red and blue can actually be created by mixing colors. So I like to use the cyan, magenta, and yellow as our primary colors. So cyan will be in place of blue. You'll also see how the combination of cyan and magenta actually make blue, which is why it's not on this chart. So magenta, which is a cool color on its own, you can see it right here on the cool side of the color wheel, and cyan will create purple. And yellow and cyan will create green. So purple and green are also considered cool colors because they are made with cyan. Now, you might be puzzled by the green, but green is an even balance of yellow and cyan, both warm and cool, which means that it's a neutral color. It's a color that can work with someone with warm undertones as well as cool undertones. It is a universal color. It is a balanced color. So let's look at laying out magenta and mixing magenta in with the cyan. So you can see here right in the middle, an even balance of magenta and cyan creates purple, which is a cool color. And then a little less of cyan going to the left, and you can see some medium magentas all the way up fuchsia pink and all the way over to magenta pink. And then to the right, the more cyan we add, you can see here that it creates blue, the blue that you probably expected to see in the previous slides, going more towards cyan. So these are all considered cool colors. In fact, they are the coolest of the cool colors because there is no yellow in these colors. So these colors are not shared by warm undertones necessarily. Okay, now there are definitely rules to be broken for someone with warm undertones to wear some of these colors, but for the purposes of a general what colors harmonize with cool undertones, that's what we're focused on in this presentation. Yellow, we'll lay that down. Now, yellow is a warm color. It exists on the warm side of the color wheel. I don't think I need to explain why we consider yellow warm. It's what we think of when we think of warmth, and it is on the warm side of the color wheel. So it is a warm color, but we are adding cyan to it, creating cool versions of that color and cool colors. Now, let me first explain that even though a color may be technically on the warm side of the color wheel, if it has cyan in it, it will also possibly be harmonious with cool undertones. This is probably the one time where it may not always be true, but it can definitely be true, which just depending on how dominantly cool or not you are within your color type. So you can see here that the equal balance of cyan and yellow create a true green. I have a line here down the middle to show you that it is a balanced color, and the colors on the left are considered warm colors and the colors on the right are considered cool colors. So you can see as we add more and more cyan to yellow, we get the teals and turquoises all the way to cyan. These colors right here harmonize also with warm undertones, but they also harmonize with cool undertones because they have both yellow and cyan. The same is true all across this bottom row here. Going to the left, we have less and less, and we get these lime greens and true yellows. Now, there are some cool color types within your color style that can wear lime green and true yellow. So it's not just because it's on the warm side of the color wheel doesn't exclude it necessarily from someone with cool undertones, although it might be a little bit harder to wear. But you can see here that we also describe these colors in different ways. So here you can think of these colors because you're adding more and more yellow. You could say warm greens, or you could say cool yellows because you're cooling the yellow down with the cyan. And over here, you could say that these are cool greens because more cyan is being added to the green, or they're warm blues. More yellow is being added to the cyan. Now, this is just some color theory just to help you describe colors because there's more than one way to describe a color. And just because someone says, oh, it's a cool green, doesn't mean that it's not appropriate for warm undertones. And if someone says, oh, that's a warm blue, doesn't mean that it can't be worn by cool undertones. So you can see here that there's quite a range of color that goes beyond the cool side of the color wheel, allowing you to have a very nice range of colors, all created with cyan that are harmonious with your cool undertones. And if you're trying to figure out what colors flatter you best, and most importantly, to learn what colors to avoid that drain you or overpower you, take the quiz out on yourcolorstyle.com/quiz. It's absolutely free, and it'll walk you through step by step on how you can figure out what types of colors are going to make you shine. I'm Jen Vex, and thanks for watching.